Yo, check this out. The new One Punch Man season is here. Can you believe this animation? Just kidding. That was animated by a fan. This is the actual animation from season 3. Bear witness to absolute dog shit. Animation has been a hot topic recently, and before we continue roasting the production quality of One Punch Man season 3, I need to make a confession. I rarely care for the animation. I mean, I appreciate when it's good, but I am a narrative nerd. I will take a brilliantly written character arc and a compelling mystery over the most gorgeous Sakuga. I know I'm a nerd, alright? But the point is, I usually have a ridiculously high tolerance for production shortcomings, and I am equally annoyed by the community's obsession with perfect animation. Look, I'll admit, I'm on the side that is too tolerant, but most of these fans are on the complete opposite side. While the complaints can be justified, like the T-bait manhwa or the Blue Lock anime, in most cases, the complaints are not justified. And I'm not just saying this because I'm tolerant to bad animation, but because people will pause an episode, take a 1/10 of a second screenshot of an off-model character mid-movement, and then post it online with the caption, "This studio is dead. Fire everyone." Like, dog, they don't even get to see their families half the time, and you're mad at a single frame? That's not critique, that's just a lazy way to dunk on overworked animators. Of course, a single frame taken out of context is gonna look weird. So when I say I usually don't care about animation, I do care about it, but I roll my eyes at this level of nitpicking. And that's exactly why we need to talk about One Punch Man. Because when I, the guy who would rather read a text dump full of plot twists than watch a Sakuga clip, starts complaining about animation, you know the situation is dire. And in One Punch Man Season 3, the flaws are not just in the paused screenshots, they are in the entire show. So far, I should say, in case the first 5 episodes were just rage bait. And this isn't just quote unquote not as good as season 1, that was season 2. And I still enjoyed it, but it was noticeably dropped off from the original season. And now it's even worse. Like, this is an active downgrade from an already prior downgrade. One Punch Man Season 1 didn't just meet expectations, it shattered them. If you look up Sakuga for the show, there's an 8-minute video, all clips from season 1. It was produced by Madhouse and led by a very talented director, Shingo Natsume. And now they hired someone who used to do hentai. Well, I'm sure it won't be that obvious. No, I can tell. Why does the horse anime have better animation? Why does Tatsuki's works that he made as a 17-year-old have better animation? I need answers. The animation was, in fact, the single most crucial element that made season 1 a masterpiece. The core joke of One Punch Man, a hero who defeats every ultimate threat with a single punch, relies on the surrounding world to be portrayed with uncompromising drama and detail. The quality of the animation legitimized every threat. Saitama's effortless victories weren't just a funny gag, but a spectacle to watch. When the monster looked like the most terrifying, beautifully rendered threat ever put to screen, his single punch became the ultimate payoff. The visual commitment transformed a gag into a universally acclaimed cinematic experience. For years, One Punch Man was the ultimate spectacle, the show you could show to non-anime friends to convert them. And now, I think it would make them convert back, because there is no way they would want to watch this. Of course, a lot of you will want to blame JC staff and the animation team. We saw the handoff from Madhouse to JC staff for season 2, which, while disappointing, was understandable given the production's pressure. And that's what I want to talk about. Because it's easy to blame JC staff, right? They're the ones who animated it. But that's like blaming a McDonald's worker for not bringing you a Michelin star meal in the conditions they're given. It's not just the budget, but time constraints, mismanagement. Ultimately, the production committee in charge of this product is at fault. Because even if I give them the benefit of the doubt that they are bad animators, then why are you hiring them? But that's besides the point, because that is most likely not true. Bandai Namco, the TV companies, these directors and animators are likely under immense pressure that most of us don't even see. There's a reason we joke about them not seeing their families, because most jokes have truth to them. So before I continue to point out how drastically it fell off, remember that these cases are rarely on the animators themselves. For example, I brought up Blue Lock, and there was an animator who literally came out to say that he was being rushed. And this narrative also about a former hentai director leading it, I joked about it in this video, I thought it was funny, but it's not very accurate because he stopped working on that a while ago. I mean, do you really think animators would get hired by known animation companies if they were this bad at animating? How many of these people do you think had genuine dreams to work on their favorite projects just to get slammed with work in an impossible time frame? And then they get home, hop on Twitter, and then get crucified for being a shit animator. Like, I'm laughing at this, but that's really sad. Of course, some cases might be on them, but most of the time, it's the team that overlooks the project and cares more about the profit that it might return, which is incredibly ironic because it is doing much worse than it could have if it wasn't rushed. Now, I've come to learn and unfortunately see that the Monsters Association arc is Garous' arc. His character progression is tied entirely into his evolving martial arts. The complexity, the fluidity, the constant change in his fighting style and overall growth needs to feel constantly moving, like an adaptable force of nature. Yeah, that is just not what happens. The rigid animation takes away from feeling that change. He just becomes another highly buffed guy engaging in low frame rate conflict. We lost the entire intensity of his fighting style, and it just goes to show that animation isn't just about how it looks, but it serves as a narrative element, especially when it comes to this series. And this tragedy of One Punch Man Season 3 is amplified when you hold it up against its spiritual sibling, Mob Psycho 100. Mob is basically another version of Saitama, dealing with existential boredom and unmatched power, and both rely on exceptional animation to sell their main themes. But here's the crucial difference. While One Punch Man's animation quality just continued to get worse, Mob Psycho had an increase in animation quality right alongside the emotional depth. As Mob's internal struggle worsened, as his relationships with Reagan and Ritsu deepened, the animation studio bones gave it their absolute all. They understood that the peak action sequences weren't just spectacles, they were manifestations of Mob's internal turmoil, driven by his heartfelt journey towards emotional maturity. Mob Psycho 100 is the perfect example of how a studio should handle a visually demanding source material with increasing narrative stakes. The finale sequences where Mob finally confronts his inner trauma weren't just pretty fights, they were explosive visual metaphors for his growth. This makes Mob the definitive what-if scenario for One Punch Man. Imagine if instead of facing crippling budget cuts, One Punch Man had been given the resources that let the animation soar as Garou got stronger and more complicated, and Saitama's existential boredom deepened. We could have had two masterpieces from one, pushing the boundaries of action anime. Instead, one studio understood the assignment while the other saw a deadline and a dollar sign. And it's just really disappointing. I mean, Tatsuki is out here getting his old works from when he was 17 years old animated like it's Shakespeare. And it's great. Look, I enjoyed it. I am a big Tatsuki fan, but Murata is just not getting what he deserves. And it happens to a lot of other mangakas out there. I mean, y'all remember what happened to Tokyo Ghoul, but maybe if we talk about it and complain, someone in the production committee will see it. Most likely not, because why would they care what a dumb American says? But it's the least we could do. So are we cooked, chat? Well, to be honest, I've lost any hopium I've had left. I mean, maybe, just maybe, they're conserving every resource, every single talented key animator, and every last penny for one single spectacular moment. But at this point, does that even matter? No, it doesn't. It just doesn't matter. Unless the rest of the season from these 5 episodes I've already seen are a 10 out of 10, it is pretty much cooked. And it sucks because I personally love anime a lot more than I love manga. Of course, I pay respect to the original work, but an anime done right can add to it in so many ways. Not only visually, but through soundtracks, voice acting, and overall direction, it can create a cinematic experience. And that's what season 1 was. But in that same light, it can completely ruin the original work, and that is what the following seasons have done. In a way, at least the manga exists and the panels are out there, but I can't help but think what could have been. What could have been indeed. This is a video I was dreading to make because I was holding out hope. I was holding out faith that the episodes would get better. And once again, if you guys didn't pick it up on my video already, the animators are obviously not to blame. There is no way you're getting hired for one of the most popular mangas and a known animation company in JC staff who made good anime before to animate badly. Like, clearly they were given bad conditions is what I was trying to point out, and also just joke about like the general production of it. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say covering that. I also wanted to thank you guys who left comments in the last video. I'm always honest with you guys, so at first I was pretty upset. It was my longest video. I thought it was my best video. Like, I guess that's subjective, but either way, it did pretty poorly, and that was surprising because Chainsaw Man was new. Like, I thought it was a relevant topic that I actually really liked, and I just don't understand the algorithm. But the reason I'm thanking you guys is not just to sound like a humble guy or whatever, but there was comments that I get frequently where they're saying like this video should be viral, it should be doing better, and that means more than just seeing numbers on a screen, right? Because like some of my viral videos, it just hits the algorithm because of keywords and people seeing it and I guess clicking on it. I don't understand the algorithm. But either way, when people leave comments like this was actually a good video, that means so much more because that's someone actually watching that video. And of course I want it to do well because I want to keep growing as a creator and make this like a full-time thing eventually, but that should always be in the back of my head. Like, the main thing I care about is making decent videos, and having people recognize that in the comments, even if it's just a single person, means way more. And I really want to thank you guys for that because it's something that is needed. Like, who am I to think that a video should do really well? But people saying that it should do well, that means a lot more. And like I say in those replies, it really reminds me why I started making videos and will continue to make videos for as long as I can. So thank you guys for that. And I should wrap it up there before I keep yapping. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations maybe for future videos, leave them down below, and I might see you in the next one.